Howdy everybody, Jake Judge here at Mitchell Equipment. Today, with planting being 2 to 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks out, we're going to talk through some things that you can do on your planter at home, going through a couple of items for you to check, look over, so your planter's ready to go when it's go time, when the weather's nice, so you're not worrying about this going through the field. We'll go through and kind of hit some checklist items and do those. We're busy here at the shop going through planters, making sure they're ready for guys to go. So if you have any questions while we're going through this, if you think of them, just let us know. Write them down, give our people here at Mitchell Equipment a call, and we'll talk through those solutions.
Okay, this morning we're going to go over things you need to look for on your, first we're going to do the ASM meter, the case stock meter, and then we'll do the precision planter VDRIVE meter. On the ASM stock meter, to go through the meter and check it before the season, the very first thing you want to do is clean all of the dirt and debris out of the inside of the meter. It'll get dirt and old seed packed down in here, so just take an air gun, blow that out there, get everything good and clean, so when you're working on it, it's a lot easier to see things. Okay, what I normally do is I blow the debris out, take all the parts off, the agitator. You want to check it and make sure none of these are bent or broken. This one's good, this one's used, but it is still good. There are a couple different kinds of agitators out there. We sell this one and that one. You do the same thing on it. Make sure none of them are broke or bent on those. You want to check the bearings to make sure it turns freely. They will sound rough when they get dry. You can hear them. You want to check your drive. Make sure it pivots. That way it aligns correctly with the drive sprocket on the planter. Now, the next thing you want to check is your brushes. Make sure they're not bent or bent over. A lot of times they get caught and get bent over. You want to make sure they're standing up nice like these are right here. And another important thing on an ASM meter is you want to check your cover, or your door, your clean out door. Make sure it doesn't get broke. A lot of times they get banged and get a crack here, and if that opens up, of course all your seed comes out. Then probably the most important thing to check on an ASM meter is your singulator system right here. Make sure all your wheels turn freely. They will get dirt in there or seed dust or seed treatment and then don't want to turn. You want to make sure those turn. And also these pins will get bent to the side and get off at an angle, and that affects your singulation and your spacing, of course. And then make sure this turns freely but will stay in the notch when you're at whatever setting you're at. For corn, typically 3, soybeans, it's 8 on that. Then we want to check the cover here. A lot of times they will get grooves because this will mesh up flush against the plate will set on here like that, and it's plastic on plastic. So the cover will not wear a lot, but I have seen them get some grooves and have tracks in them where you have to replace them. Normally what wears is the plate. On this one, this is one that is worn considerably. They do have wear grooves in them. Once they get down close to the bottom of that, the plate is pretty well done. There's grooves in here and right there. You want to check those. In comparison to a new plate, there's quite a bit of wear on this plate. I would recommend replacing this plate. Another thing you can check for is on the back side. These holes on a new one are nice and square, where on the old one they get rounded out just from the friction of the seed. You want to make sure that's really important on your spacing to keep the seed from hanging up inside that hole. Okay, and that should do it on the ASM meter. Just the main thing is to make sure it's cleaned out, all the bearings work correctly, and most importantly that these spools turn and that the pins are straight up and down. All right. Now we're going to hit on the VSET VDRIVE meter here and go over what the things you need to look at on it. One of the first things I always check is the gasket that is in here. You want to pull it out. It'll just pull on it. It'll come out of there, and then you can look at it and check it. And what'll happen is it'll get wore in these areas, and then it'll get cracks right here. I have one here that's wore. This one came in. It had a crack there, and then they start to crack in this area too. I don't know if you can see that little crack there. But what'll happen then, and then this one also wore through right there. These typically will last about 2 years. You can get out of them. Then they get brittle, and then they start to wear through like that, which will cause you problems, and you keep maintaining your vacuum and your singulation going down on that. This is just like the ASM meter. You want to make sure you blow all the dirt and debris out of it. This is a new meter, but just take your air gun, blow the dirt out of here, This will just come out of here. You just pinch that, take it out, make sure this turns freely, just a little bit of compressed air, clean that out, and you're good to go. These are just the extractor wheel that pokes any seeds out of the plate while you're going. And then on the VDRIVE, these will run we have never replaced one because of this, but on some of the older ones I'm starting to see a little wear in this gear, so just check that, make sure that it's not getting a notch in this gear where the plate mates up to it, because the plate will set on here and go in there like that, and you get a little, the plastic doesn't wear but the metal wears on that. So, but I have meters out there with over 2,000 acres of row on them, and they're still running the original VDRIVE motor, so I'm not sure how long they're going to run. I think it's going to be quite a bit longer. As far as the bearing, just like on the ASM meter, you just take it, turn it here. If you feel any kind of roughness, we can replace the bearing behind here, and you're good to go again. And then in this side, check your brushes, make sure they're standing up just like we did in the ASM, and the singulator right here. It's fairly easy to get out, inspect. If you do get a little wear on it, it'll be on these lobes right here, but kind of like the VDRIVE motor, they seem to run a long time. We haven't really had to replace any because of wear yet. And that's about it on a VSET meter and VDRIVE meter.
Alright, so now getting a little closer look here at the actual row unit itself. We took our gauge wheel off so we can get a closer look. First off, making sure all of our discs are being able to spin on both of these. All of those are spinning. Some wear items on these, so these discs do wear down. This one specifically is supposed to be 14 inches across. It'll wear down to 13 and a half, or it'll keep wearing down, but we recommend changing it after it's worn down to 13 and a half an inch all around. You can see here the wear that we had on that disc. And then same with these discs as well. They will wear down. They're supposed to be 8 inches across, recommending changing at 7 and a half. You can see them. Show some other wear points on the internal gears here. We have our shoe and our firming point. Those will wear down as well. You can see down at the bottom they'll have wear and tear on them. And then also here, this bolt as you're going through the field will jostle across and cause this bolt where it slides in there to become bigger, obviously, as it going through the field. So if you have play in this, make sure to get that looked at and changed there as well. Going into our gauge wheel and our closing wheel, sometimes if you get something caught on these wheels, it'll cause this rubber to break and crack, and you'll get dirt and debris down in those two wheels, your closing wheel and your gauge wheel, which could cause problems down the road of getting something thrown out or different debris, or it's not going to close or open properly. So make sure to get that looked at. Looking up at our parallel arms here, making sure all of your bolts are tight here, make sure there's no play. There's a bushing in this bolt here, and if that is loose, you'll have play, so making sure that all of these are tightened up. On this row unit here, you can tell that those are tight because as I lift this up, nothing moves. We have one over here that when you lift up on it, there's a lot more play, and we can show you that. There's a lot more play in that one because the bushing isn't tight. So making sure that yours looks like our first row unit to be for optimum success. As you can see on the top of this planter, all the fertilizer lines are still functioning. As you can see, everything going through here. We recommend running water through those the first test to make sure all your everything's tested with water. Don't put fertilizer in those right away. Make sure you don't have any kinked hoses. Going through and looking at all your hose line, making sure it's ready to function as well. So we went through a lot of items on our checklist here that could possibly be replaced. So as if you're going through, maybe your disc is worn down, you need to replace a disc, make sure to give us a call here at Mitchell Equipment. We can give you all the specs and tell you everything that we have on stock here to get you fixed up and ready to go for Plant 2020.